Hello, welcome back to Fearless Entertainment. This time for my review of Wishmaster 2. The Wishmaster Collector's Edition set right here. Wishmaster 2 You Will Never Dies came out in 1999. And although a good follow-up to the first film, it does thread shorter in experience than the first film. I always thought the first film was a much better movie than all the other films. I think one thing that gets me a little off about Wishmaster 2, 3, and 4 is the makeup. I thought the makeup in the first film was far more realistic looking. And Andrew Dioff, whatever his name is, the guy who plays Jin in the first two films. The guy who wished he played the Jin in every movie, but after I tell you what I'm about to tell you, you'll understand. And you can watch this on the interview with him on the first movie in the box set, I might add. He felt that the makeup, although it had more, because it was a full body suit and stuff like that, he thought that the makeup didn't look right. He said this is a case to where more isn't quite better. There was more prosthetic makeup, more pieces on his body. They had a whole body suit for him in this one, so you have horns and stuff that looks a little bit different, and he just thought that it just didn't look as good as it does in the first film, and I will tell you, I agree. It doesn't. In fact, how I would describe the prosthetic makeup they put on him in the second movie versus what they put on him in the first movie is, the first movie, that's legit prosthetic makeup. The second movie, that's what it would be like if you made a Halloween costume for adults to wear on Halloween to Halloween parties being the Jin. That's what you would make. And that's kind of my opinion of it. It's not right, not his opinion of it, but that's my opinion. I also thought that although this movie is a little bit darker than the first film, what I liked about the first film is it wasn't so over the top on the fact of the gags of, you know, manipulating in different ways the meanings behind everybody's wish that they wish for. Like in the first film, yeah, he twisted their wishes into something evil, and that was interesting and fun. In this film, he just, you know, it becomes a gag like every 5 minutes with him. Like the whole film is about making it funny and silly about, you know, all the gags that you can come up with out of him. I mean, he does some pretty funny shit. Like for example, there's this inmate he comes across. So while he's in prison. Yeah, he's in prison in this movie, and he thinks he's unjustifiably incarcerated, and he's like, I wish my lawyer would go fuck himself. And literally the Jin grants him that wish, and we literally see the lawyer literally fuck himself on screen in a very funny and goofy way. Things like that, and there's just a little too much of it. There was this stuff in the first movie, but it was funner. That film, the first film didn't take itself seriously either, but this film, it just gets plain silly at times. Well, I'm going to apply the movie so we can speed this up. So I have like a couple of minutes to talk about my experiences watching the Wishmaster films theatrically. Well, the plot I will go through a lot quicker than I did on the first Wishmaster review. Two young adults up to no good, actually technically 3 young adults up to no good, are trying to rip off the Bamat Gallery by stealing the paintings and stuff like that and precious relics. One of them gets shot by one of the security guards. And then, of course, another one of them, she's just the security guard that kills him. Then their security guard tries to shoot our main character, whose name is Morgana, which is a very interesting name for a woman, but yeah, Morgana. And it nicks the Horror Monster statue and knocks the stone right out of it. And it kind of hit the stone, I guess. And Mr. and then they try to hit her again later, obviously, and the boyfriend kills the... Actually, no, the boyfriend doesn't kill the guard. The guard kills the boyfriend, and obviously, she kills the guard. And then she gets away. And while the boyfriend's dying, the djinn obviously comes out of the stone. And then we get our first, diabolical twisted wish. The boyfriend's like, I wish I'd never been born. And obviously we see the djinn literally doing that. Then he gets up and we see a cop, like, I said freeze. Did I hear you say freeze? Yeah, that's right. I said freeze. Done. Literally freezes him into an icicle. Then he takes the rap for the theft of the paintings of the two dead security guards and gets incarcerated into federal prison, pending trial. Which our main character Morgana sees this. And then she starts having these weird dreams and stuff like that. She turns to an old boyfriend of hers who had since then become a priest in a Catholic church. And she goes to him for aid. First, the person doesn't believe her. Then he goes to see the djinn in prison, and he shows him his true form. And then they team up and learn what they can about this djinn. And they find out about the legend of the djinn and what the alchemist sorceress did with the stone, and how he trapped them within the stone in the secret fire, and trapped them back in the Horror Monster statue and all that stuff. And then, of course, she purifies her soul to attempt to be ready to face the djinn. By the end of the movie, she wishes that she never killed that security guard, which purifies her mind, and she takes the stone right out of the djinn's hand and sends him back into the stone by reciting, of course, the spell that the alchemist sorceress did. What's different about this one is in the first movie, Alex, of course, wished kind of like a time travel thing, and just wished that guy wasn't drinking and voila, next thing you know it, nothing ever happened. In this one, after she imprisons the djinn back into the stone, while all that's happening, all the souls of the departed go back to their hosts' bodies, and people come back to life, which I thought was a very interesting take, but also it kind of makes it irresponsible about why all this stuff happened in this movie and then all of a sudden it doesn't matter. Like I said, the direction of this movie was a little bit off, but still an enjoyable movie in my opinion. I still did like the movie. I think Andrew Dioff did a brilliant job again as a djinn in the movie. And overall it's a fun movie. Now quality. This one does have a 5.1 DTS HD Master Audio, but unlike the first movie, this is where it gets a little interesting. Unlike the first movie, although had the stereo surround DTS HD Master Audio 2.0 soundtrack, there was a lot more surround effects in that movie. It made a very good directional use of effects going around the room. I mean, it felt like a really good surrounding sound-filled sound stage of a movie. This one, although in 5.1, it's kind of like reminds me of the Wrong Turn movies. It just feels like a TV show type of track. It's like there's not really much of anything that's really all that good flying around the room. I mean, every now and then there's like a little hint of an effect flying around the room. That's about it. So pretty bad on the audio, in my opinion. Now, they said that this movie on the Blu-ray actually has slightly better quality than the first movie? I would say yes, it does. But sometimes having vibrant colors and having somewhat more of a digital look to a movie with cooler color temperature and stuff like that is not necessarily a good thing. And that's kind of how I feel about this movie. What really works out well about the first movie is it doesn't really have that problem. It's like everything is so neutral, and it goes more towards the warm end of the color temperatures and route instead of cool color temperature route, which makes it look more like a movie and it makes it look more artsy and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I look at the first film versus the second movie in terms of that. But overall, very good picture quality, yes. Well, obviously, there's not a lot of bonus material on this particular second movie. This tells you how much a lot of people didn't really care about this movie, except for the director. There's a commentary from him. But Jack Shoulder's always happy about all his movies. I never really quite understood why. People hate you for what you did with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. People like this particular movie, but that's about the only film they like that you made, Jack Shoulder, is this movie. And I would say, is it a good movie? Yes, but is it as good as the first film? No, and it's not even as good as the third. In my opinion, the best sequel to Wishmaster is Wishmaster 3, and I'll get into why after, of course, I watch the movie later, when the lights go down. So I can get really good up and close and personal, because I am watching these films theatrically, after all. You can't really do it during the daytime. Well, let's talk about the nostalgic feel of Wishmaster 1 and 2, and what it felt like watching them literally for the first time, as if I'm going to a movie theater and watching them. What was it like? Well, it was humbling to do it. I really did enjoy watching these movies in this way. It was an eye-opening experience to me. I really liked the first one. The first one is still my favorite out of all of them. It really felt like I was back in 1997 watching this movie at a theater near you. Which, of course, in 1997 I would not have been able to do that because I was too young. And at that point in time, they actually did ask for your ID. They don't do it often. What's very funny is when I watched it, Chapter 2, they didn't ask for my ID, because I obviously look old enough. But they actually had a little note on the front of the window saying that you will be ID'd if for admission to it, Chapter 2. So they still do it every now and then, but they don't do it much anymore. But back then in 1997, yeah, you actually had to be an adult to watch an R-rated movie. And so, happily enough, as an adult, and with the technologies of today, you don't have to go to a movie theater to actually watch a movie theatrically. And it was very, very, very cool to watch this film theatrically. The second film was actually a movie channel movie. It didn't go to theaters. But if it would have gone to theaters, I think this film would have performed fairly well. But I'll be honest, from watching it, as if it went to the movie theaters, I can certainly tell you why it didn't go to movie theaters. It just doesn't feel like a movie that belongs on the big screen. That's kind of the way I look at Wishmaster 2. Wishmaster 2 is just too generic. It's just a fun little movie. When it comes down to Wishmaster, is more of an artsy movie. It's more like it belongs on the big screen. It's like you haven't really watched it, you watched it the way I watched it last night. And it was definitely a fun movie to watch on the big screen. So if you have a projector and a projector screen, I definitely recommend watching the first Wishmaster film. It really does play out really well. And if you can handle it looking more like a TV movie or a movie channel movie instead of a theatrical movie, I would say that Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies, is a pretty good watch. I do suspect it would be the same opinion about Wishmaster 3 and 4, them looking like TV or movie channel movies. But we'll see. And until then, I will see you later.